After 2 years of growing in this backyard, I'm redoing my gardens again. That's right. In 2 years, I'm on my second redo of my gardens. And in today's video, I'm just going to show you the work that we are doing for this year and this growing season, while also showing you the progression of how our backyard has changed over the years. If you're new here, I moved into this house in fall of 2022. And I actually, if you count that, I've moved my gardens maybe 3 times now. So when I first moved here in the fall, I bought 2 small raised beds because I was desperate to grow a fall garden. So that was my very first garden here. And since that time, we have done a massive amount of work in our backyard. And every single year, something changes that we realize that our gardens are just in the wrong place and we need to move them. And so for this video today, I wanted to show you that if you want to change your gardens and move them, you totally can. It's not like your gardens have to be permanently in their place once you build them. And the second thing is, I just wanted to show you all of the changes that we've made and why we're making them. So this is a mix of a transformation video, a garden tour video, and a little bit of a working video to show you what we're doing around here and what the plan is for the garden season this year. My name is Bree and I garden in Ottawa Zone 5. When we first moved into this house, I had put myself on a wait list for an allotment with the city of Ottawa. And actually I put my name on a list for a couple different allotments in hopes that one would come up first. And so I did finally get an allotment last year. And so the entire goal of my backyard was to have small gardens, because once I did get an allotment, I didn't want to feel totally overwhelmed with a ton of garden space here at my home and also having a large garden at the allotment. And so the goal originally was just to have a couple small gardens here that would give us the type of vegetables that we would be eating quickly. So lettuces, a couple peppers, some tomatoes, just things that when you are cooking dinner and you need to get some herbs, some chives, you can run out to the garden and grab it and then bring it back in the house. That was always the original goal. But as the years are going on, my typical gardening self just needs more and more garden space. And so I've been slowly adding gardens every single year. And now this year, for this season, I'll be adding 2 new gardens. I am decommissioning one of them, and so there is a balance of square footage between the gardening space, but I am adding 2 new ones. And part of the goal of adding these gardens is that I am buying metal raised beds or being gifted metal raised beds. It just depends. I will point them out to you when it happens. All for the sole purpose of testing these out for you so I can give you some honest recommendations on what works best for you. I have a garden from Sprout Box. That will be my 3rd year I'm growing with. I have gardens from a company called Raised Garden Beds. Those were the first ever gardens I ever bought when I moved into here. I now have a Vago garden, and I bought another garden off of Amazon that was about $50, all so that I can test them and tell you if the $500 garden is worth it or the $50 garden is worth it, or Raised Garden Beds, for example, is in the center. It's your moderate priced one. And really, I just want to test them out so that way you know which one's best for you. And that is a big catalyst to why I am redoing my garden, is so that way I can add in these new gardens and give you honest product recommendations for your garden. So the goal is to undo the one garden that is in front of the shed because it is in the way of us pulling out all of our bikes or our lawnmower or whatever we store in the shed. And also I am needing to make space for the new raised beds. So I've actually added some gardens in the front yard now, some raised garden beds. So I am getting into front yard vegetable growing, so I can add that to the list. So if this is something that you're interested in doing, you'll now be able to see it here. And there is some other work that I'm unfortunately not going to be able to get done in this video because it's just too much. So that is moving our IBC tote, our rain barrel. We have to lay a concrete pad and rebuild it all. So that one is just outside of this video. I just I don't have enough time to do that one. And the second thing is we are going to rebuild the sprout box into a new shape, but I can't do that in this video because I have cabbage growing in there right now. So once we harvest the cabbage, then we will do the work of changing the shape of the sprout box, and I will bring you along when that time comes. But otherwise, you're here for the rest of it. So the things we're going to be working on is decommissioning the first garden, building the Vago garden and getting that set up, moving our wood raised beds into the front yard, and I will show you the quality of our raised beds after a few years, so that way you know what it looks like buying wood as another option instead of metal. And I'll be building and filling the Amazon garden. That garden from Amazon is 2 feet by 4 feet, I think is the size of it. And I am going to plant that as if it was my only garden. I was going to give it to my neighbor across the street, but I've decided he protested a little too much. So I am going to plant that garden as if I was planting it at his house with all of his favorite foods. So that includes tomatoes and lettuce, chives, and some beans. So that way I can show you just how much you can get into a small bed if you only have a small growing space, that you can grow everything that pleases you for supplementing your meals, not so much replacing all your groceries. So we will plant that in that form. It's gonna be a pretty fun video. I will be showing you some before and after pictures of what we have done over the years at our house, because we've just done tons of work. I've added new perennial gardens in. I've planted vegetables, fruits, flowers, everything around here. So you will get a full garden tour in this video as well. And with that, let's get to work. First up are these wood raised beds here. I'm almost tempted to just like pick them up and move them and just put them in an L shape together and not even dismantle them.
Could do that.
Because like you can keep them one side and then put them across this other one and it just makes an L without ever having to rebuild a thing.
Yeah. As long as you're good with like the little compartments, I don't care. It saves us so much work.
Yeah. Well, because I'm hoping the cold frames can fit in the Vago, but I'm not entirely sure yet.
What do you mean?
Like the width of it? So we had the two garden beds touching each other here. So this looks really bad. And it's even like rotted the wood a little bit. Versus this side over here was open. And it's actually, oh, you can't see. Versus this side was open and it's actually pretty good. So it's just interesting how obviously the water and when it's touching each other, it changes things. Just digging up the cold frame. So we're thinking that we'll use this bed and then we'll use the long bed here and then put the other bed there and build ourselves a little U, because I'm obsessed with the U-shaped garden for just feeling like enveloped in the garden. I just really enjoy that feeling. So I think that's what we're going to do here. And when did we put in this garden?
When we first moved in.
But how long ago? 2022?
Yeah. It's just like paper.
If we moved in 2022 and put these in, and then it's what, 2025 now?
Yeah. 3 years. Let's say.
2023, 2024. Yeah, so either 2 or 3 years. And the cardboard still isn't fully broken down.
But that means also the weed barrier hasn't broken down.
Yeah, which was nice. Oh, that's gonna fall, that's gonna fall. Do not need injuries. So it is May the 8th and I'm feeling a little stressed out right now, like we're racing the clock. So we just bought the soil that we need to fill up the new garden, and I'm still in winter body shape, which means that it is so much more work for me to wheelbarrow soil than it would be come like July. And next week they're forecasting it already to be 29 degrees during the day, pre-humidex, obviously not roasting in the sun, and moving soil in that type of temperature is going to be atrocious. And I also want to be planting my garden as well. And today is a Thursday, which means I don't really have a ton of time. I mean, like, end of the month is fine, but it's just going to keep getting hotter and hotter, you know? So I'm feeling a little stressed out about that. Plus, we still have to build the fence at the allotment and plant the allotment and clean up the allotment and bring all of the furniture to the allotment. And I'm almost about done selling my seedlings. I have one more pickup. Actually, I have 2 more pickups and then a seedling sale in 2 days. And then that's over and done with. Thank goodness. And I can put my seedling rack away. Like, whew, I'm so glad that the seedling season is over and we can plant outside. But we just got the final piece of hardware that we need for the Vago. Since we modified the garden, they obviously didn't give us the hardware for modifications because they didn't expect it. So we had to go to Home Depot and find a screw that isn't quite right. So we're gonna have to saw the head of the screw off in order to modify the tension rods. So we have to do that, and I'd been putting that off too. But we got that today. So once we can get the tension rod in, then we can really like give it a go and fill up the garden. But like I said, I'm really feeling like I'm in a time crunch now. So yeah, and I came back here just to give you guys an update about what is going on in my life, just to find out that my house had been vandalized. What is this? Because I'd been out earlier today and this hadn't happened. So who done it and why and what deserved that? It's very rude. So anyway, I don't want to show too much of me digging because you're just going to hear me breathing heavy the whole time. So this is the Vago, and so we need a tension rod right there and one here just because of how large it is. But I've just been working on filling up the little raised garden beds. This one I might top up a little bit, and then I can move over to the Vago after.
Let's get that screw here. Take my gloves off.
So while he was screwing it in, he did loosen it a little bit in the middle there. But I mean, this is a pretty good, it might do the same thing as the sprout box where it sinks in a little bit there. But I think that's okay. Anything to help it just like not bow out too much. Okay, so we added an extension kit here and over there, right? Just 2.
Yeah.
To make this as a lot longer than what they suggested it is. And now our problem is this. So we're thinking we have to move one of the tension rods up higher. We have 3 in here, so we have 1, 2, 3. So I think we're just going to bring one up just to help with that. So now we just have to figure out which one we're going to do. Okay, it is May 13th. We just wrote all of our little labels, and it's been, yesterday was like 40 degrees, today is like 30. I have Colin out here planting up our garden. He's planting the whole garden, and then over here we got some sweet potatoes, and then we're gonna do some eggplant, zucchini. He's planting tomatoes. And then we have to figure out what we're going to do with the strawberries that we pulled out of the garden. I'm not quite sure where we're going to put those yet. So, because it is technically strawberry season. So I guess we'll grow them in bags for now until we figure out where they go. But I'm hoping we can get some berries. Maybe they'll be better protected in bags compared to being in the garden. Well, we can move the bags and put them up high. I don't know. But we can at least protect them from squirrels or mice maybe this year. So that's what we're working on right now. So all of these are already been pre-cut because I've been using them in the past. And I have all the clips on there already too, thank goodness, because it's too cold out to be doing all of the cuts and everything for it. But I'm just gonna throw in these hoops in here now so that way I can keep it protected overnight when the temperatures go down to 5 degrees. And I'm not worried about frost. The frost cloth technically should help with frost, and I'm not really worried about that. I'm actually just wanting to protect these guys from 5 degrees Celsius because they really don't like it. They barely tolerate 10, and our daytime highs are gonna go up to only 10 over the week. And they really don't even like 10 degrees. So I'm likely going to put this frost cloth on today and not take it off again until probably the end of the week, unless it starts to warm up. And the hardest part about it is going to be doing it when the wind is blowing everything, because it's very annoying. Try not to lose my shit, you know? If I can find a rock or a chunk of wood, should hopefully hold it down. Like, see how there's just all these open edges on here? It's really not holding anything, but we're working on it slowly. I'll show you all the ways that I've secured this. So it just depends on what you own. So here I have greenhouse clips that are holding onto the pipe. I've used the magnetic solar lights that I have with my raised bed garden here. And I'm really honestly hoping the wind gusts die down overnight, because I don't think it's supposed to be this windy overnight. This is part of what's making it such a brutal experience. But if it wasn't windy out, this wouldn't be as bad as it is. So here I also have a rock that's holding it down, and I'm able to do this because I have enough space in my garden to add a rock. And I have one in the back here, but I ran out of rocks. So what I did was I took a stick and I just tucked in the frost cloth into the soil with the stick, or you can also like jab a hole into there, but this is the best I can do. And then thankfully I was able to tuck the frost cloth between the trellis here for the fourth side. And then on this side I had rocks. So other than tucking it in, all four sides of these have rocks. So it's just like different ways that you can put your covers on. And I really, really, really hope that this wind dies down overnight, because otherwise this is just going to be brutal. And I would not be surprised if I came out and everything was pulled off of here. And just a quick break through all of this work, I did want to mention that I have a course available for you. It's a self-paced course that's all about learning to build a stronger garden and securing your harvest no matter what the weather throws at you. We've seen wind, hail, excessive rain, wildfires, and so this is all a way that you can build a stronger garden and secure your harvest, so that way you don't lose them to all of this weather that we're experiencing, because this is our new normal and we're not coming back from this. So you have to adapt how you are growing your garden if you want to make sure to get food every single year, especially with the political climate the way it is too. We really need to make sure that we can focus on growing food to keep food security for our families. So if you did want to check that out, I'll leave it in the link below, and you can actually grab a free preview of it as well if you wanted to test out a few of the lectures. There is written lectures, videos, workbooks you can print in your garden. It's a really amazing course, so I'll leave it in the link below. Now let's get back to work. So I am going to start with mowing the lawn because it desperately needs a mow. And my least favorite part about mowing the lawn is having to walk around and clean up all the junk that I leave laying all over, because that's real life, is leaving junk everywhere. So that is the first step that I have to do. But then you'll also see the disaster of trying to get the lawnmower out with this garden in the way. So then you'll understand why we are trying to remove this garden. Also doesn't help that this lawnmower is heavy and we don't have a ramp. And the shed's full of a bunch of junk. That is all my gardening supplies that are just tied up and falling apart. Oh, I hate a messy shed. All our drip irrigation is just hooked to it. And this door swings. Ugh. We really need a ramp. The swinging door. Oh, this is so annoying. See, once this garden bed is removed, we will be building a ramp here, because here's all my drip irrigation coming out. Because this is so annoying. Oh my God. Does anybody else keep their shed in like a total disaster? Because we do. I own too many gardening supplies, I think. And it's just a huge mess. Okay. I hate cleaning up my pots. Okay, everything is just going great. This thing is heavy and it doesn't even have the battery in it yet. We have a beautiful battery-powered lawnmower, and I love it. Every transformation video or whatever needs to come with the ugly moment as the before, with a transformation at the end, and mowing the lawn is one of those things because our lawn is very long. I try and participate in No Mow May, and I'll do it up until as long as I can, but at some point I do want to cut it just because of like ticks, and I also just have a what is the word? A sensory issue with really long grass on my feet and stuff. It makes me really uncomfortable. So I have to mow the grass because otherwise I just feel really gross being outside. So this is outside of the scope of today's video, but another thing that I really want to do is cut up the lawn in this section of the Vago because it's a U shape, and around my raised garden beds over there with the trellis, and put, I'm out of breath, and put pea gravel around it, both behind it between the hedges and the gardens and in front of it, because they're really awkward to mow around. So I have to mow inside the U shape along the edges. This one sticks out more than those ones do. And then I have to go in between them, beside them, around them. Like, it's just really awkward to mow and I don't enjoy it. And I'm really awkward with this mower because it's so large. So I think I want to put pea gravel in front, behind, and in between them, just so that way I'm not having to worry about mowing around them and I can mow more straight lines. And then at the very end where the lawnmower is, I've got an L-shaped garden over there, plus a small 2x2 square one where my comfrey is. So I have 5 gardens all here. They're all different shapes and they all have spacing in between them that I have to mow through behind and around. So if you're going to be building your own raised gardens and planting your own garden, I really recommend thinking about the mowing at the same time and all the different shapes and how you would have to mow around them. And especially with my L-shaped one with the raspberry in there, I now have a raspberry cane that's really tall and hanging over, so I have to duck under it when I'm mowing. So really, when you're planning out your garden, I really recommend thinking about mowing and how you want to do all of that, because this is actually just a lot of awkward work that you have to deal with that if planned properly, you wouldn't have to. So again, this is going to be a future plan of this backyard revival, but this is a lot of extra work that's going to take all summer long and isn't something I could just do in the springtime. All right, here's my long front yard that I have to mow. I mowed a walkway of 2 inches in the garden just so when we walk from the front to the back, we have a nice short grass, but I'm going to mow the rest of it at 3 inches just to try and keep some of the wildflowers there for the pollinators. So I mowed the spot right behind me at 2 inches because that's where my Amazon box is going to go. So I'm going to place that there now while I have my lawnmower out, just to make sure that my lawnmower can fit right here over to it. And then the rest of it, I'm going to bump it up to 3 inches just so that way hopefully some of the wildflowers can survive. And this is my bin of wood that I'm going to put at the bottom of the garden just to save soil space. All right. All right, so the sun comes from behind you guys and in front of me. So really I can put the garden either direction, but I think I'm going to put it this way because it ties with the length of this garden here. It just looks more even from the roadway, and I can just put my tall plants in the back here. And I think my lawnmower should easily fit here. So whenever you're placing your garden, it's really important to make sure that it matches what the sun is doing and you're able to work around it. So you can see that there's quite a bit of space here. So this seems like a good spot for it. And again, in the future, I'll probably put pea gravel around that in the end anyways. Plus this also gives enough space for me to work on both sides of the garden here. And this is all the cuttings from my perennials from the springtime. So I've been leaving them out both for bird nesting material and also in case there's any insects that need to come out. So now I'm gonna put that in the bottom of my garden as well. So I did have to actually go up to 4 inches because 3 inches was still too low for the wildflowers. And although it didn't save all the wildflowers, it saved a few of them. And my lawn looks mown, or at least all the same length, so it keeps the neighbors happy while also being able to feed the pollinators. It's a fine balance between the two when you live in an urban area. So let me just show you what we managed to save. Of course, I do have other flowers in my garden that the pollinators can enjoy. Some grape hyacinths, some hellebores. I have some daffodils still blooming. And up in the front, I'm about to get some alliums. And of course, creeping phlox over here with some alliums. So I do make sure, and I have a beautiful lilac bush with very few lilacs in them right now, but I do make sure that while I am mowing and keeping my lawn maintained, I do still have food for the pollinators because, of course, it's incredibly important. From the street, nobody can see this patch of my grass, and there are some forget-me-nots in here and sweet violets and dandelions, of course. So I mowed around here, but couldn't bring myself to mow this section. And since no one could see it anyways, I'm going to leave this patch for the pollinators. I think that it's just a nice way to get back to them. Forget to leave out water for wildlife. I like to leave this one out in my front yard away from my vegetables. And this one can be used as a bird bath, but this one is specifically for animals like mice, squirrels, skunks, groundhogs, raccoons, whatever, that they can come drink out of this. And this is because we may think we own our land, but we don't own our land from these animals. They have a right to live here too, so I just make sure that they always have access to fresh water. And you'd be surprised, having access to fresh water means that they're not going to eat any of your vegetables. All right, here's another example of thinking about where your garden beds go. Unless I maybe can try and go from that end over there, trying to get my lawnmower in between these two garden beds, especially as the bag fills, is very irritating. All right, now I'm going to take apart this garden bed, and I have my supervisor out here with me, which I'll show you. My supervisor, he's busy sniffing the air right now. So he needs to know what's going on everywhere all the time. So he's gonna keep an eye over me while I undo this garden. Also, if you are curious how to build a raised bed just like this one, where we put in a tension piece across it, and this is a 5x4 shape, I do have a free ebook on my website that gives you even the quantities and the cuts in order to build this. This was really a beautifully shaped garden. It was, I think, 20 inches tall, 4 feet by 5 feet, easily accessible all sides around. You could easily garden in the center of it. So I have a free ebook. It's actually not available on my website right now, but if this is something that you do want to get access to, either you can comment below and I can connect with you, or you can email me and I will email you a free copy of it. Or if there's enough of you looking for this, then I can put it live on my website again. All right, as you can see, it's done now. So now I have to rake all of the remaining branches out because of course we filled the bottom of this full of branches. And then I am going to level out the remaining soil and I'm gonna obviously put some seed on top of this. So I do have this lawn solution bee turf. I got this from West Coast Seeds in a trial package of theirs. So it has some different things. What does it have in here? So it's hardy to zone 3, full sun to partial shade, which is perfect. And it has better resistance to weeds and is unattractive to chafer beetles and grubs. I don't know where it says what's in here. I don't really like that. Okay, I'll have to check their website to figure out what exactly is in here. I can see some clover, but I'm not sure what else is in here. I do really think that they should have the list of what is in here. I did ask them if it was all native to Canada, and they said that it was, so that at least is a benefit, but they really should list what is in this seed mix. So it does 80 square feet, and this is 5 by 4, which is 20 square feet. So this is going to be more than enough that I need for this space. But there are some patchy spots around here too, because when we first moved in, we'd had to grade this in order to make it flat for the gardens. So there are some patchy spots in here. So even better reason to be using this. So I'm going to get to that part now. This is going to be so brutal to do because you don't realize how many branches are actually hidden in this dirt here. So which means that growing stuff, I don't want to grow anything where I'm going to have to find these after or when the lawnmower kicks it up and messes with the blade. So I have to just make sure I take it slow and do a fairly good job. Okay, that was probably the worst of all of the jobs that I've done so far. That took 20 minutes, and just to move the soil around and dig out all of the tiny little branches that were in there. And I did take the time with the soil to spread it even further, because when we first moved into this backyard, this whole side of our yard was a really steep hill. So I moved a ton of soil to flatten out this area for these 3 garden beds. But at the end, over by the composter there, it actually became quite a large hill because I was flattening it out, and then I'm not a professional landscaper or grader, so it was just kind of and shot off. So I've just filled up some soil over here that is just going to help make the hill be a little bit less of a hill. And so now I'm just going to throw the seed on it. I'm probably going to actually mix this with real grass because I have a feeling I'm going to, even though it says 80 square feet, that I'm going to run out because I don't own one of those things that can, I am already going to run out. 80 square feet, my butt. Already ran out, guys. Well, I guess I will rake and water what I did get done. And I guess I'll be going to the store for grass seed. Okay, I went out and got some grass seed so that way I could finish the job, because it would be annoying to not just finish what I started. Why can't it have a rip thing on it? I'm gonna have to go back inside for scissors. I like to overseed because it's the only way I'm successful at growing grass seed is by like massively overseeding. So I'm just taking a quick tea break in between all of the hard work that I'm doing. And I just wanted to say that if you're enjoying today's video or any of my other videos, if you can make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because it does wonders for me in the algorithm. And it just shows me that you're enjoying what you're watching so far. I stopped working for a bit and got cold, so the sweater's back on. And because my little baby hairs are in the way. Anyway, I'm gonna start working on the metal raised bed from Amazon now. And I'm gonna use all that wood that I dug up from the wood raised bed and fill it from the bottom there, and then see how much of this big bucket I can fill up there, because I don't want it to be too full, but also it's really good for feeding the soil. So what happened potentially with my sprout box is that I had branches that were on the tension rods here, and when you add soil to it, it puts weight on the tension rods and it can make the metal raised beds cave in. So it does the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do by adding weight there. So you have to be really careful to keep a gap beside these tension rods at all times. And I'm trying to like put them in such a way that when I go to add the soil to it and I'm digging, I don't stab myself in the hand with some of these branches. Sun's come out, so it's so much warmer. Actually, there's a break in the clouds. The sun has not come out. And if you guys are interested in seeing what I do on a more day-to-day basis versus my weekly updates here on YouTube, you can always follow me on Instagram. I'm active there. I reply to any DMs you might have, and I update my stories probably once every couple of days with just what I got going on around here, so you can catch a little bit of a early preview and just connect with me there. And I do post some reels and some posts and whatnot, but I'm mostly more about stories there. So yeah, if you wanted to connect with me in another way, you can do it through Instagram, or you can sign up to my newsletter. It goes out twice a month, usually on Tuesdays, but sometimes I forget, like today, when I just get too caught up in getting other types of work done, especially as the weather is changing. It's so easy to forget to do things inside on the computer when there's so much work to be done outside. So this 2x4 garden took about 3 wheelbarrows worth of soil. I don't know quite how much that is, but gives you an idea by wheelbarrow volume. And I try and compact it a little bit. It's not super great for plants, but also I don't want it to settle too much. I want it to stay as full as possible. But with all the branches on the bottom, there's lots of areas that it can fill up. So I just want to get this to its maximum fill, just to avoid too much settling for next year. And I swear, next year I'm not going to need 3 yards of soil. Every year somehow I need more and more soil, no matter how much. I don't get it. Always adding new stuff here. And of course, the black rubber band on the outside of this is leftovers from other gardens that I bought, the more expensive kind. So if you're going to order this exact same garden off Amazon that I got, it will not come with this black rubber. But I think all metal raised beds should come with it, just to make it a little bit more comfortable to work with and to avoid any type of cutting. And voila, she's all full. Where I'm going to teach people that they can grow their own garden in a small, tiny garden like this, like where one person can. So, if you were to grow things, I have a cherry tomato and a... Okay, so I talked with my neighbor who if he were to have a garden, I asked him what he would eat, which is partially because he lives alone. So this is the perfect example of what one person could grow in a small garden. But also I plan on growing this food for him because he is on a fixed income. And so why not grow food for him since I have more than enough my own growing space? So cucumber was on the list. So I did install the trellis over here so I can add a couple cucumbers for him. And now I'm going to add hoops in because this is really good in the early season, that I can add some frost cloth onto here if it gets cold, but also if I want to add any type of insect netting. I just picked some really small hoops because I only need it for the beginning of the season for now. And of course, frost cloth doesn't weigh very much, so it's very easy to put it on here, and I can put a stick in the middle if I really needed the extra height. It's quite easy. So in this garden, I'm going to plant a couple lettuces, some cucumbers, a beefsteak, and a cherry tomato because he likes that, some celery, and a bell pepper because he likes to eat green bell peppers. I am done planting this garden. This marks the end of this backyard transformation for now because we're never done. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so this was the final step in our garden revival, renovation, rehab, and that was planting up this little garden that I got from Amazon because I do want to test this for you guys to figure out if the cheap gardens are good for growing in. So this is going to be called Johnny's Garden, and it has 2 cucumbers, 2 tomatoes, 2 peppers, 2 celery, 3 lettuce, an onion, and a cilantro in it. And we'll see how this progresses over the season because this is quite a lot. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 plants in a 4x6 garden. Or sorry, a 2x4 garden, which is only 8 square feet. So we'll see how this goes so that way you know if you can grow this much in a small garden as well. I'll keep you updated. Oh, there's a sparrow in the bird bath and my camera doesn't face that way. Anyway, I'll keep you guys updated on how this garden fills out, both for a review for the Amazon garden, but also for growing in a small space. So now that everything's done around the garden, we get to go to the good part, which is the before and after videos, so you can see what the transformation is and what it's going to potentially look like come this season. So make sure you don't miss that transformation. But otherwise, I hope you like this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and check out this video here once the transformation's over.